Hello, my name's Adonna Michelle Turner, and I'm speaking to you today about the COVID pandemic and what effects it had on our daily lives, how the event has changed how we interact, work, and live on a daily basis. The pandemic was an unexpected change in social structure that we knew, and it took everyone by surprise, and it profoundly changed how people socialized and worked. I gratefully was an essential worker where we had little time off. I think we were off maybe the first month, I think it was. So it wasn't very long at all. That was like the very beginning. That first month is the only time that we actually had off. But we all had to return into the office and commence work like we had always done. During that time, it was really scary, and we had to assist the public as we normally would have. But it seemed that everybody was a threat and scary. It put everybody on pins and needles, and every time our door opened, it was just petrifying. Every time that somebody coughed or sneezed, it was mind blowing that everybody was about to be sick is how it made us feel. But we had to do what we had to do. So with the changes that happened, looking from the structural functionist perspective, everyone had a role to perform, and mostly everyone maintained their roles. The home family was your safe place, your support system, emotionally, physically. Everybody at home was your support avenue, and was your primary interaction that everyone had. Some businesses began the remote working, and to this day they still have that. I was not beneficial in that perspective, but they continued to work from home to make it to where the economy would continue to flourish. You can't just everybody stay at home and nothing's being done. So that was their avenue in order to keep and maintain, people at work. The education to keep norms, they started everyone doing Zoom. My children had to do that. They got up every morning, logged on like it was their new normal, which it was their new normal. Not their favorite thing, but they had to do it either way. Grocery store workers, everybody's hero. They had to work, or they didn't have to work. They chose to work to keep everything continuing as it should be. If the grocery stores had shut down, I could foresee riots and chaos definitely happening. The governments had to keep us all informed, and the governments were there to do such. Governmental agencies like police and fire continued to keep the roads safe. But there was definitely a different way that everything was being handled. Everything was hands off, less face to face. They just kept their distance. They had to keep their distance in that time. But this is the type of field that I'm in the court system. We still had to have court and hold court, and we did. It was everybody had their masks and plexiglass, and but we still had to proceed in the judicial system. Even though it was trying times, we had to continue. Healthcare workers, one of the biggest jobs, the thankless jobs, they put their lives on the line every day to help and serve and hold hands where people were not going to make it through the night during this pandemic, and their families weren't able to come in and see them at their last moments, and these workers were there as their ending support for a lot of people. I don't know the number of people that died during the pandemic, but it was a big number throughout the entire world, not just isolated locations. So structural functionist people put everyone in a position that way everything would not have fallen apart. Everybody held their titles and held to what they needed to do. So then we move on to the social perspective. Social norms completely changed. If you didn't wear a mask, you were looked down upon. If you shook hands or hugged or high-fived, that was no longer something that people did during those times. And some people still are elbows, not near as much. Everybody's kind of calmed down with the no-touch zone, but it was definitely different. There was no longer, hey, how are you? I'm so-and-so. It was, hi, I'm way back here. So the social norms definitely changed. The fear and the panic that was set in caused so many disturbances, such as everybody buying up the toilet paper. They did it during the pandemic. They've done it during the hurricanes. We just can't seem to keep the toilet paper on the shelves, and people don't realize that toilet paper is made here in the U.S., I guess. I don't know where they thought it was coming from, but, it's kind of like the snowstorms, the milk and the eggs are gone, or the milk and the bread is gone, but during the hurricanes and pandemics, the toilet paper is gone too. So that was definitely something that we all had to adjust to. Again, the new norm, everybody wore a mask to protect everyone else. People that didn't wear a mask were seen as harmful or not abiding to what the new rules were in our new found society. But everybody was actually willing to help everybody else. The people rallied together. People helped out their neighbors and their elderly, and it was heartwarming to see the generosity that people and the kindness that people were willing to show during these times that they do not on a normal basis. I wish it was more like that on a regular, but it's just not. So then we move on to the conflict perspective. This is where it exposed a lot of the inequalities that certain societies face. Like the grocery store workers, the low income workers, they had to report to work. They didn't have a choice. It was either, go into work and expose yourself and expose your families to these sicknesses, or lose your house, or not have your health care, or not have the ability to, afford your groceries and things like that. So the lower income is there. I'm not of any stance when it comes to any of that. So we were the ones that had to continue to work. The wealthier people were the people that had more remote work, and they still do. Here we are a few years later, and there's still a good many places that have chosen to keep the remote work for those companies. I guess they saw it that it was still a benefit with people were working, but working from home. The Asian communities being faced with discrimination during those times, sadly pointing fingers to the Asian community that they were the ones that did things like this, and they were the ones that caused all this. The minority groups having the higher risk of the infection due to pre-existing conditions that they had, and overcrowding, and uncleanly homes, or they're the ones, the lower minority groups are the ones that are working continuously. The worldwide differences were definitely noticeable. The more affluent locations were on mandatory lockdowns, and the lesser income locations were the ones that were essential workers, and that we had to go to work. Again, I work at the court system, and court had to continue, and it was not a choice. It wasn't I'm scared I can't come to work, can I please work from home? Because you can't do these things from home. You can't do grocery store work from home. You can't do the court system, or you can't police from home. You can't work in the healthcare system from home. So it became, these were the people, my people, we were the people that were out on the roads every day within society, having to maintain what we were doing previously. But the lower minority groups, those are the ones that were definitely suffering the most. But the pandemic brought to light a structural inequality that were overlooked a great deal, that power and privilege shouldn't hold the key to life or death. Everybody should have been treated the same, and that was not the case. I'm glad that things are looking up, and I'm glad that things aren't as strict, but it definitely did put a different perspective on a lot of things that were going on. But thank you.